Testing, testing. Okay. A bit more of a delay. Okay. Hello. Okay, I'm just getting set up on YouTube. some of the music I'm using, I promised to give credit to the folks who created it. So I'm just making sure that is done. It's the kind of thing I can't quite do ahead of time because I don't get to write the description of the YouTube video until I start the live stream. So let's see. Oh, there we go. There's can't find it again. Well, I have the video. Okay. So when we hear, "O God of all the nations," I'm saying this so that it gets recorded on the YouTube live. That is the Presbyterian Peace Fellowship virtual choir. And I have put that in the comments. I think the link to the video comes from Vimeo, and I'm not sure how YouTube likes links to outside video websites. So my family is discussing the election, and it keeps popping up over over my screen. I had to reach over and mute that so that I can focus on this, especially because if I accidentally tap it, then it will close out the app that's running my camera. That would be a problem. Okay, and we're gonna probably have a little more discussion than we would have in a normal worship service, just so we're aware. So folks should be able to unmute themselves when those moments arise. There is some music that might make the service a little bit longer, but otherwise it's relatively brief aside from the discussion. And so somewhat it's meditating on some art. And Jeannie says, "My voice is much clearer than it was on Sunday, and that's because I'm not running it through the sound system for the church. I have my microphone right here." And that's just a little bit harder, especially on a communion Sunday, because I need to be in more than one place. And I can't move the fancy mic that easily because it's hardwired to the devices that are running the entire recording setup. So It's a work in progress to figure out what works and what sounds best. We've just got another minute. I have shared this to our Facebook page and the group, and it is also live on the website. I just put, about $5-10 on a Facebook ad and shared a post to share this with the general Whittier community, whoever popped up on their devices, in case some folks want to go to our website and participate with us. And so I'm also going to at least keep the video up on, oh, Ursula's joining. Keep the video up on my phone in case people comment. If anyone viewing is able to participate, and you may hear me acknowledging people on the live stream. But I need to make sure that my phone is muted. And I think the folks who have been joining us on YouTube have not necessarily commented or necessarily participated, but I wanted to keep that option open. And since I'm not using multiple devices right now, or at least not using as many devices, that means I have one device free that I can check YouTube with. Normally I can't do that. All right, it is 6 o'clock, and so I am going to light a candle and just usher us into a time of calm for worship. I'm going to set myself to spotlight video. And we'll get started. All right. So the first thing we have, this is a song called the Keep Going song that the liturgy that I'm using recommended as an opening to the call to worship. I think the folks who sang it weren't necessarily intending to be particularly religious with the song. And so, but it does talk about what our hopes and our prayers are for. And I also played it for Daniel, and he didn't like it. So just know it's okay if you don't like it. It may be a matter of taste, but at the same time, they ask us to listen to the lyrics and listen to the words and meditate on them, and notice what emotions stand out. What parts of the song can you relate to? And where do you hear grief? And where do you hear hope?
Keep going on song. This is a keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going on. Keep going on song. And we've been mostly healthy. We've been okay. Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? I hope your body is whole tonight. And if your heart is breaking, I hope it's breaking open. And if your breath is shaking, I hope it's shaking through. And I hope that you've watched a lot of really great television, like a lot of it. And I hope that you find a hand lotion that actually makes your skin feel better. And I hope that you have enough to eat. I hope you're getting enough sleep, and I hope you have enough good company or enough good memory to last you a long time. Keep going on. Keep going on song. We sing the keep going on. Keep going on song. Let's bring some joy a fire that cleans my mind out and makes me ready to listen. I pray. My pain is a river that flows to the ocean that connects my pain to yours. And I pray my happiness is like pollen that flies to you and pollinates your joy. Oh boy, is that possible? I don't know. We are making this up as we go. We have to make it up as we go. The keep going song. Oh, we're making it up. We're making it up as we go. Keep going on. Keep going on, song. And I pray that when we meet again, that the world has changed into the world that we are imagining now together. And I pray that the world has become the world that we're planting inside of ourselves for each other and for our ancestors and for our kids. Ooh, and we're gonna start. This is a rough beginning. That's all I've got is a rough beginning to offer you. We're gonna start by singing some songs in this tiny space together. We're just gonna sing some songs for you, and we hope that when you hear them, you will feel a little bit less alone, and we will feel a little bit less alone in the work and in the hurt, and we will be together tonight somehow, whenever this is, wherever this is. We will be together tonight for the keep going on song. This is a keep going on song. This is a keep going on.
And that was, again, the Keep Going song by the Bangsons. And folks are welcome, if you have anything to share, anything that stood out to you about that song, you're welcome to unmute yourself. Otherwise, we'll go on to the reading for this evening.
I liked it.
Okay, I'll let Daniel know.
It was hopeful, fitting for our time, the COVID and our election and everything else that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we keep going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, and our reading for this morning, to go around, or this evening, it's from Romans 8 verses 22 through 27. It says, "We know that the whole creation has been groaning in labor pains until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly while we wait for adoption, the redemption of our bodies. For in hope we were saved. Now hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what is seen? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know how to pray as we ought, but that every spirit intercedes with sighs too deep for words. And God, who searches the heart, knows what is the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of God." And so there are some questions for journal or discussion. And it does look like we've got somebody watching on YouTube. So I will also offer this to folks watching on YouTube. If you want to join the chat and respond to any of these questions, I am able to read them. And so verse 22 describes creation groaning. In your own life, what has felt heavy? What has been hard this season? What causes you to groan? What causes all of creation to groan? And you can write those things down or name them aloud. I think there's been plenty of groaning this season.
Separation.
Yes. I think loss, our national losses, as well as the losses that are closer to the congregation. Thinking of creation groaning, I think of all the fires as well.
I was thinking of
being trapped.
Mm-hmm.
Inability to travel.
Yeah.
Ability to find a bathroom that's open to the public when you're out and about.
Mm-hmm.
I think relationship building seems so awkward. Well,
Yes.
for those not techno savvy, I know the younger generation seem to be able to keep their relationships going.
I have one that was lost. Oh, I was thinking about in terms of public restrooms, thinking of those who don't have access to housing, have also lost access to restrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, our friend Mary just came back from Arizona and she said nobody's wearing a mask there. And that makes me groan just thinking about the craziness of not protecting yourself and others. Silly.
And verse 23 describes waiting eagerly for deeper connection with God, for complete redemption. What is it that you are waiting eagerly for? What do you long for in your life, in your community, in our nation?
Me? Is that in there?
Civility.
Love one another.
acceptance.
Acceptance.
Right. Just a reminder to folks, when you aren't speaking, it's helpful to mute yourself just so that when someone is speaking, it's easier to hear. Someone has a lot of background noise. Okay. And verses 24 and 25 speak of hope. What gives you hope today? What do you hope for? What do you hope for that you have not seen? With those things, write them down or name them aloud, and may these prayers of hope lift your spirit. And so, what gives you hope? And what do you hope for that you have not yet seen?
What gives me hope is perseverance of many people. during this time, noting that people in business that I know are figuring it out, are figuring how to continue, and the positivity that I see, that these are just close friends. I also see the other, the flip side of that, but you're talking about hope and how their businesses didn't go under because they thought of another innovative way to keep on going. And they're very much grounded in the Lord, and they said, we will get through this with his guidance and help. And it was a very positive feeling it gave me.
Where else do we find hope? I think Dottie shared recently, I don't remember if it was the study or if it was after worship, about just kind of seeing how kids have rallied and children have found creative ways to care during this time. And especially some of the kids who are doing science projects, and there's a 14-year-old who may have come up with a therapy for COVID. Those kinds of things give me hope. All right, and we're having a bit of a discussion. So for the person on the phone, you are welcome to unmute yourself with *6. And we're just discussing a passage, but we have one question left for this passage, and it's verses 26 and 27. And this is for Romans chapter 8, verses 22 through 27. So we're talking about verses 26 and 27 of Romans chapter 8. And so they describe the closeness of the Spirit, interceding and searching, knowing us completely and helping us to pray. The ancient Greek word for spirit also means wind, and the Hebrew word translates to breath. This would be pneuma or ruach. Therefore, in this challenging season of division, worry, and fear, take 5 deep breaths. Breathe slowly in and out. And as you breathe, give what is heavy and what is hopeful to the Spirit. And as I do that, I'm going to take off the scripture and mute my microphone so I'm not just breathing in your ears. All right, so we're going to read Psalm 126, but I'm also going to put up an image that was included with this psalm. The artist is Hannah Garrity, and it says, this art piece simply represents the tears that sow the joy of the future, the simultaneous joy amidst the pain, the waters of restoration that will bring us joy in the morning. We meet with joy in this dreamlike time. So this is the image. I'm going to bring up Psalm 126. This is a song of ascents. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dream. Then our mouth was filled with laughter, and our tongue with shouts of joy. Then it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us, and we rejoiced. Restore our fortunes, O Lord, like the water courses in the Negeb. May those who sow in tears reap with shouts of joy. Those who go out weeping, bearing the seed for sowing, shall come home with shouts of joy, carrying their sheaves. So this read and reflect. Breathe deeply as you continue to gaze upon the image. And as you engage the image, use these prompts for contemplation. Notice the visual complexities of what you see. And for the person on the phone, you may pull out your Bible and look up Psalm 126 and contemplate the verses. Now, paying attention to the colors, textures, movement, and shapes. What emotions emerge for you as you gaze upon the image? And what emotions emerge when you read Psalm 126? I'll read the psalm again. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dream, when our mouth was filled with laughter and our tongue with shouts of joy. Then it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us, and we rejoiced. Restore our fortunes, O Lord, like the water courses in the Negeb. May those who sow in tears reap with shouts of joy. Those who go out weeping, bearing the seed for sowing, shall come home with shouts of joy, carrying their sheaves. The final question for reflection is use your imagination. If you were to place yourself in this image, where would you be and why? Or in the psalm.
I think the psalm reminds me of trying to be steadfast, and that if we are, things will come right and we will be able to rejoice again. And that maybe I'm somewhere in the upper third where I'm on the picture where I'm being lifted up, maybe not quite all the way to the top yet. I'm still waiting for that joy to be complete, but making progress.
Interesting, because I'm in the dark area and I'm drifting. Because right now nothing seems to be working out, no matter how hard I try. And yeah, that's about it. That's about it.
All right, I'm going to play our next song. I'll mute all just so we can hear it well. The song is, it's actually in the new Glory to God hymnal. It's called For Everyone Born, A Place at the Table. And I put it in the notes for the YouTube video. In fact, I can just read them off of that, I think. Yes, okay. This comes from a church in Canada, actually. They're the ones who recorded this. It was the most beautiful recording that I found, and so I emailed them and asked them for permission to use it tonight, and they gave us their blessing. And this is from Windermere United Church, I believe in Toronto. The song was written by Shirley or Elena Murray. Arranged by Adrian Marchuk, additional lyrics by Adrian Marchuk, performed by Adrian Marchuk, who, and hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly, or their name, with vocals by Chris Tsujiuchi. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Stewart, Adam, McKensy, Elena, Juatco, and Evangelia Kambites. And they just asked that I give credit to the performers. So that is that. We'll listen to it. They did adjust a little bit of the lyrics. Instead of the second verse, I believe, is written as for woman and man, a place at the table. I think they instead said for genders diverse, which includes women and men, but everyone in between and wherever they find themselves in that spectrum. And so I also appreciated that language adjustment. So let's listen to For Everyone Born. Oh, this one.
For everyone born, a place at the table. For everyone born, clean water and bread. A shelter, a space, a safe place for growing. For everyone born, a star overhead. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy.
Genders diverse, a place at the table, revising the role, deciding the share, with wisdom and grace, all sharing the power. For genders diverse, a system that's fair. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace.
Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy.
For young and for old, a place at the table, a voice to be heard, a part of the song. The hands of a child in hands that are being cold. For young and for old, the right to belong. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. For gay and for straight, a place at the table, a covenant shared, a welcoming space. Expressions of love, diverse as a rainbow. For gay and for straight, a chalice of grace. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy.
For everyone born, a place at the table.
To live without fear and simply to be.
To work, to speak out, to witness and worship.
For everyone born, the right to be free.
And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy, compassion and peace. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy.
All right. I can't remember where I first heard that one, but it's a beautiful song. So the organization that I'm using liturgy from is called A Sanctified Art. And so they incorporate a lot of art into their orders of service and that sort of thing. And so the next piece just for discussion is a poem. And a lot of the prayers are written by a woman named Sarah R. Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, and then R is A-R-E. But she also writes a lot of poetry. And so you may only get half my face here, but I can turn a little bit. And so this poem says, to carry a dream. To carry a dream is to walk at night, or to walk by light, but with a pebble in your shoe. To carry a dream is to wake at night, to wake and blink twice in case you see something new. To carry a dream is to plant trees in old age, to be a part of a church that is human and frayed. To carry a dream is foolish and wild. It's the faith of a child, wishing on stars. But to carry a dream is also hopeful and wise. The faith of our elders, saying God will provide. So may we walk until we see the light. May the pebble in our shoe remind us why we fight. May they say we are foolish and unwise, and may we continue to dream. May hope keep us alive. So for discussion, in this election season, what dreams do you have for our nation? What dreams do you have for our church? And what dreams do you have for human connection? And I want to remind the folks who are joining us on YouTube that you are welcome to post something in the chat. And if you do, I'll try to acknowledge it on our stream. And folks on the Zoom call, you're able to unmute yourselves. So again, those questions are, in this election season, what dreams do you have for our nation? What dreams do you have for our church? What dreams do you have for human connection?
I hope and pray for no violence, no matter the outcome, and that things will be peaceful, and that everybody can get along no matter the results.
I would like to add to that, and that we listen, no matter what the other person's opinion is. So we listen and we have an exchange of thoughts instead of just yelling and screaming and turning into violence.
I would hope that everyone could be recognized for who they are.
That phrase, but with a pebble in your shoe, what hit me was we all have biases. And my prayer is that nationally we develop an attitude that we shouldn't jump all over each other. We should listen, as Ursula said, and learn to understand a perspective instead of getting angry about it. And that leads us to more civility. I mean, even within my immediate cousins and uncles and aunts, you know, there's such diversity of opinions. And we have thus been able to understand perspectives, not totally agree. And I just wish that could be expanded to, you know, to our country and to friends.
And your words reminded me of a saying. There's a pastor who has been somewhat of a mentor to me. His name's Paul Rodkey, and he was also the minister who presided at Daniel and my wedding. And he always says that we all have biases and prejudices, and he usually says that to preface him then saying, "And my bias and prejudice is." And I always kind of like that because he had no problem sharing his opinions very directly, but he did usually preface them by saying, "My bias is," so, or "my bias and prejudice is." And it could be useful for us to, at least internally before we say something, at least think that phrase.
I'm praying for egalitarianism to be the law of the land.
So the next question is, if carrying a dream is like walking in the night, what gives you the strength to continue walking? Who in your world is weary of walking who could use your support? And who is walking in the opposite direction? And how could you continue to be a neighbor to them?
It sounded like Ursula needs some prayers, friends. But I hope she knows that she has friends here and that she'll come into the light.
Sometimes I think walking in the night, if you're walking with someone or with a group, that hope, you have hope because you're going through this together. Up at summer camp, up at Forest Home, we go on flashlight hikes. And then we had to turn off our flashlights and then just have the leader with the flashlight and just holding on to each other, relying on each other to get through that little passage with just the light of one leader. So we look to our leaders, that they have that light and looking to the Lord is what's gotten me through my nights, my struggles.
I think that last question is important, and it's a transition to the final section. The question again was, who is walking in the opposite direction? And how could you continue to be a neighbor to them? So the liturgy that they offer is an opportunity to take action. I'll take this off. And that action is simply writing a letter. And so at least for our purposes for today, I might ask if you have a name, maybe just a first name or even just an initial, if you don't want to share who, or even a made up name that represents the person. And it says, election seasons are seasons of division. We find it hard to see one another and even harder to hear one another. To challenge that societal norm of division, you're invited to choose connection. Write a letter to someone you love and send it to them in the mail. Let them know they are on your mind. Surprise them with the outreach. Remember that connection is and always will be a spiritual practice. And so if you would like to commit to write a letter, who might you be writing to? I can think of a number of family members.
Well, I guess I would have to write it to my sister-in-law. I love her dearly. She loves me, but man, I cannot understand her political persuasion. So that would be a very interesting letter. I'm not sure what I would write. I'll try.
think I'm probably particularly thinking of cousins who I know I have strong political differences with. Because there are even other more closer family members that I have strong political differences with, but we're better about just not arguing about them. Or being obnoxious on social media toward one another about them. And I think I'm probably also particularly thinking about them because when my grandpa passed about 1.5 years ago, that kind of became the last connection to go home to visit all of the family in that region. And so I think wanting to maintain that connection to family is also on my mind.
I have a friend who is different. I have a different opinion, and he writes, he sends emails a lot. And his son wrote a very loving explanation, I should say, of, for his outburst. And I thought that was really good, even though they two, the son and the father, have different opinions also.
Mm-hmm.
But he was very loving toward his father. It was great.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm thinking of my father today too. My father was a lifelong Republican. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that, and at the end of his life, he voted for Obama, which I'm sure just blew everybody, all the Republicans in my family's mind. And then he became kind of agnostic. And it was just bizarre, but I'll tell you, this election and this season, I'm having the most difficult time I've ever had dealing with how aggravated I am that people are just not taking the COVID seriously. I think that's my biggest problem with the current president. And I just, no matter what, I know other people disagree with me, but I really think that is the biggest problem I have, is people dying because of the political thing in our country. And that's as far as I know, that's never happened. We didn't have this ever in my 67 years. And I hope it never happens again. And I hope it comes to an end one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still thinking of my father because, you know, we went to Nixon's house together. We talked about politics all the time. We were always on opposite sides, and we never had what we now have in our family on Facebook and, you know, phone calls and text messages. It's just ridiculous. And I've just cut myself off from it because I don't want to play a part in that. So you guys pray for me.
Okay. All right, with that, I'm going to play our final hymn, and then we can close in prayer afterwards. This is "O God of All the Nations," and I think probably played this toward the end of September as well, I think, because that's the International Day of Peace comes around then. And this is, I believe, the Presbyterian Peace Fellowship doing a virtual choir.
This is my song is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and vine. But other lands have sunlight through and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. So hear my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. This is my prayer, O Lord of the kingdoms, thy kingdom come, on earth thy will be done. Let Christ be lifted up till all shall serve him, and hearts united learn to live as one. So hear my prayer, O God of all the nations. Myself I give thee, let thy will be done.
All right. Close us in prayer. Holy God, we come to you today in prayer full of emotions. Election seasons always seem to bring that out in us. Worry and hope, fear and frustration. The list could go on. So today we bow our heads and ask for guidance. Open our ears to hear the groans of creation. Open our eyes to see the needs of others. Open our hearts to make room for empathy. Give us the wisdom to navigate challenging conversations. Give us the patience to disagree with grace. Give us the compassion to make decisions for the greater good. And when all else fails, bring us back to love. Bring our hearts and our hands, our dreams and our hopes, our anger and our frustration, our hurt and our fear, all back to love. With hope we pray. With hope we are sustained. Amen. And I wanted to mention that the song For Everyone Born, I actually had to cut a couple minutes off the end of it. But if you go to YouTube, or if you're already watching on YouTube, I put links to at least the first two hymns there, and I will work on figuring out how to link to the third one. But you can go and listen to those songs again. I did also start that first song a little late because the liturgy that they gave me that included that song told me that that you should start it at 1 minute and 15 seconds because there is a swear word before that. So just so that if you do go and click that link on YouTube, just know that that's there. But we started at 1 minute and 15 seconds. And go in peace to seek God's way.